Sunday brings us the next installment of the oldest rivalry in NFL annals. And no, I'm not talking about Bears-Packers. It's the Cardinals and the Bears. Yeah, this goes back to the formative founding days of the NFL, when the Cardinals were the Chicago team and the Bears were known as the Decatur Staleys. These two teams first met in 1920 with the teams splitting the two matchups. Used to be a battle of North Side versus South Side, Bears versus Cardinals. And, that often gets forgotten about. This is a rivalry that goes way, way back with a lot of interesting history and subplots to it. I know author Joe Zemba wrote a fascinating book talking about the Bears and Cardinals rivalry. I think I'll actually put a link in the description box to to a web page where he talks a little bit about that story, and then you can go look for the book, whatever. But this is a rivalry that has so many of the legendary names of the game. You're talking about George Halas, Patty Driscoll, Bronco Nagurski, Red Grange. You've got stories about Al Capone's gang interrupting a game in the 1920s. Like, there's a lot of history here. And what's crazy to think about is this goes back to the days of when Bears football was actually winning championship football. And you didn't necessarily think of both of these teams as two of the worst run organizations in the NFL. But as fans are going to watch this game on Sunday, they won't know much about the history, nor will they feel any real connection to the history of this rivalry, because it's been over 60 years since the Cardinals left Chicago to move to St. Louis and then later on found the way to Phoenix/Arizona. You'll get some stuff during the game on Sunday, I'm sure, but what's really going to be running through most fans' minds watching this one on Sunday is, why the hell does this game have to be played on Christmas Eve? I know Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, so fucking be it. But more importantly, why in the bluest of blue fucks is this a 4:25 p.m. Eastern start time? There is nothing about this matchup between two teams that are going absolutely nowhere, playing in the Midwest, mind you, that indicates that this needs to be a 4:25 p.m. Eastern start on goddamn Christmas Eve. It's bad enough to sit there and have to watch Bears football for 3 hours on Christmas. You got to sit there and wait until mid-afternoon for this shit to start. It is ridiculous. It's the NFL saying, screw you, I guess. Anyways, let's take a look at this matchup. And you start with the Arizona Cardinals, who come into this one at 30-11 under first-year head coach Jonathan Gannon. They're certainly not a good team, which really wasn't a surprise to anybody, but I won't fully call them a pushover. They are 2-3 in their last 5 games since Kyler Murray's return to the lineup. Offensively, a very efficient team running the ball, although with as often as they're trailing, playing from behind, they don't have a chance to run the ball a ton. But of note, when they do run with James Conner, and now you've got Kyler Murray, they're an efficient running team. Their defense has had a few moments, but it's a unit by and large that has struggled this year. And we all knew, this was a team in transition. This is a team that didn't have a ton of talent. This is a team that was starting the year without Kyler Murray as he was continuing his recovery from the ACL injury. So you knew this team was going to be bad. What's interesting, though, for the Cardinals is you're kind of in one of those catch-22s. They're going to be in a good spot come the draft no matter what, because they're going to have 2 first-round picks, because remember, they've got the first-rounder for the Houston Texans. And the Cardinals' first-round pick looks like it's going to be pretty high. But if they win this game, they could hurt their draft position a little bit. Or if they win, but the Commanders also win, they'll still be no worse than 3rd. Not a bad spot for them to be in, heading into the last 2 weeks of the season. And to say that that doesn't matter, it absolutely could matter for the Cardinals, because if they sit there and win too much, they could screw themselves out of the draft position for somebody like a Marvin Harrison Jr. Sometimes winning unnecessary games in December, January has some drastic consequences. Speaking of that, that's usually what you would associate with Bears football. But The good thing is that all those unnecessary, ridiculous playoff delusions were wiped away last week after that 20-17 loss to the Cleveland Browns. Ooh. Like, that looked like a game that they should win, and then they found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. The defense played well for the first three quarters. In the fourth quarter, they refused to not lose. And then the offense, who was gift-wrapped, good field position on the touchdown, still took a ton of plays to be able to even score that touchdown. They only had one drive with any sustained success that led to a field goal. So bad offensive performance combined by a defense that gagged it up late. Big surprise, Bears football. We're reaching what could be the home stretch of Justin Fields and the Justin Fields experience in Chicago. And you have to wonder, does the same also hold true for the coaching staff? Are these last three games of the season relevant? Or have decisions already been made? Has the trajectory already been set? I guess time will ultimately tell. But I do think this is a week of some conflicting emotions for Bears fans, and here's why I say that. The Bears are currently sitting at 1st and 5th if the season ended today in terms of the draft order. Do you root for the Bears to win? Or do you secretly want them to lose out and not hurt that draft position? You've come so far. Why not finish the deal? Why not go the distance? Because if the Bears lose out, they will have no worse than their own pick being the 5th pick. No worse. Similarly, for Bears fans, a lot of the fascination, no matter what, the thing you can feel pretty comfortable about, regardless of your position on whether you want the Bears to win or lose or how you feel about that in terms of tanking and so forth, the draft position, is you do want the Panthers to continue to lose. And the Panthers are a couple of weeks away from locking in that number 1 overall pick. Keep pounding, Panthers! Bring it to Chicago! But for a number of Bears fans, are they going to feel conflicted cheering on the Packers on Sunday to beat the Panthers? And if your answer is, I can't cheer for the Packers no matter what, then you're just being fucking dumb and delusional. I'm sorry. Like, you don't have to actively, proudly root for it, but there is no good thing that comes from the Panthers winning and the Packers losing. There is nothing. And if you can't get over that and you can't see the bigger picture, then you're just being stubborn for stupidity's sake. And if the Bears lose this game on Sunday and the Commanders win, the Bears would be sitting there in the driver's seat for at least no worse than the 4th overall pick. So imagine a team that could have the 1st or 4th overall pick a year after having the top overall pick. Be a pretty powerful position for them. The odds on this one, it seems like the money certainly is leaning on the Bears here, which makes sense. They're at home. It's December. The Cardinals are a bad team, worse than the Bears in theory. The over-under on this one's 43. So it makes sense that the Bears are favored. In terms of the injury report, there's no Hollywood Brown for Arizona, but does that feel like a huge loss? Probably not. Meanwhile, for the Bears, no Equanimeous St. Brown again, which you say that's not a big deal in the passing game. It's not, other than the fact that when he plays outside, he can actually block, which Darnell Mooney has proven time and time again he cannot. Tevin Jenkins being out from the offensive line, that's a big loss. Questionable are guys like Cole Kmet and Deontay Foreman, so they may play, but they may not be 100%. For keys to victory for this one, you look at the Cardinals, they got to find a way to get the ground game going early and often. The Bears are really stout against the run this year, but the Cardinals are really efficient running the ball. If they can find a way to run the ball early and keep this one close, they certainly will have a chance. They also need to avoid offensive turnovers, make the Bears earn their points. The past few weeks, the Bears have been in a spot where their defense has gotten some turnovers, forced some turnovers, and it's made things a lot easier for their offense. If you don't turn over the ball, it sounds kind of cliche, right? Like, take care of the ball and good things will happen, but take care of the ball and good things will happen. Make the Bears have to earn it offensively. And then make Justin Fields uncomfortable in the pocket. And that could come via like mixed, varied blitzes. That can also come from maintaining contain and forcing Justin Fields to beat you from the pocket. Like, I see a lot of teams want to sell out to kind of get after Justin Fields, and in some ways I understand that. But in other ways I say, just stand there. Like, don't blow your lane discipline. Like, make him sit back there for 4 or 5 seconds, because when he does, bad things are going to happen for the Bears offense. Meanwhile, for Chicago, they've got to attack the Cardinals on the ground. The running game is the strength of the Bears offense. Big surprise. After all, it is Bears football. What the fuck else would you expect? But attack the Cardinals on the ground early. In the passing game, no reason to shake up the formula. Target DJ Moore early and often. When you target DJ Moore, good things will happen. And then defensively, get some edge pressure on Kyler Murray. Get him uncomfortable early. You need Sweat and whoever's going to be opposite of Sweat, whether it's a DeMarcus Walker, Rasheem Green, whoever the case might be, they need to be able to get some pressure on Kyler Murray. The thing is, though, that this is shaping up like this could be an interesting game on Sunday, featuring two kind of beleaguered, besieged quarterbacks in different reasons for differing degrees, in Kyler Murray and Justin Fields. I expect this one to be close, and I expect the Cardinals to come in and surprise the Bears and win 23-20.